The following is a production of Learfield Sports.
The Badger Hockey Digest, presented by Charter Communications.
Hi, welcome to the Badger Hockey Digest, brought to you by Charter. I'm Brian Posick, the radio voice for Wisconsin hockey. Head coach Mike Eaves standing alongside. Unfortunately, Wisconsin season came to an end at the Midwest Regional in Cincinnati on Friday, losing to North Dakota 5-2. The score not indicative of the game, though, Mike. I know your team fell behind, tied it, fell behind, got a big goal in the third period. And like we saw at the Big Ten tournament in St. Paul, I thought at that point when Tyler Barnes scored that Wisconsin's going to get the job done. I'm sure you and your boys felt the same way.
Yeah, there was good vibes on the bench. There was good energy, and we were pushing forward and trying to get that next goal. And I still remember looking up at the clock, a minute 44 left to play, and we were looking at a goal that ended up going off the back of one of the North Dakota players, and we tried to pull our goaltender and get an extra attacker out there a couple times, but to no avail. They added a couple goals, but it was a game that, I thought that we didn't play on top of the ball in the second period. We spent a lot of time killing penalties, but we came out in typical Badger fashion for this year and battled and tied it up. And, there was good thoughts on the bench. I said that earlier, and I think the guys were thinking, here we go. We're going to win this game again in the third period. Unfortunately, it didn't end that way.
Yeah, when you pull your goaltender, too, you know what the risks and rewards are in that means, right?
Yep, and there was, the risk or the fact that we have an empty net with no goalie and they put a couple in there. But it's interesting. I think that we've made the analogy that we were trying to climb Mount Everest, and that was talked about a little bit here on the show. And the fact is, in real life, you pay a permit of somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 to have the right to climb Mount Everest. It doesn't mean you get to the top because of storms and injuries and medical issues. Sometimes you don't get to the top. So, we were on our journey, and it was a great journey. We just didn't happen. We came up 4 games short.
Yeah. I feel badly for the 9 seniors who suited up for the very final time in Cincinnati, and, they gave their heart and soul to this program, didn't they?
Well, they did, and they were one of the reasons that we went as far as we did, that we won 2 playoff championships the last 2 years. We won 47 games with these young men. So there was a lot of good things, and it's a tough room after the game, especially when you have so many seniors. I think the more seniors you have, the more emotional it is because there's more of them. They're closer, and there was a lot of tears in there. But in the end, there was nothing else that we could have thrown on the ice. They left it all on the ice for each other. And again, that's all you can truly ask of your kids. They could walk out of that arena that night with their heads held high.
Yeah. Frankie Simonelli, the team captain, I thought he handled himself quite well. Going into a press conference situation after your season comes to an end, that can be difficult to handle. And he handled it well. So did Jefferson Dahl for that.
Well, I thought all our captains did. Jake McCabe was there as well. He's a junior. But they answered the questions forthright and did a nice job, but talked about the things that were positive for the year and the fact that they have no regrets because they left it all on the ice for each other.
Yeah. The Wisconsin Badgers won 24 games in the 2013-14 season and took home the inaugural Big Ten tournament trophy as champions. And now we look ahead to the 2014-15 season, which isn't that far off. More with Mike Eaves coming up in just a bit on the Badger Hockey Digest.
I'm not what the girls here would call classically good looking. I spent most of my youth in the dreaded friend zone. That all changed when my folks got Charter TV. I discovered tons of chick flicks in HD and on demand and learned all the secrets to romancing the high school girl. Now in a school full of boys, I'm the man. I'm the man.
Get Charter TV starting at $29.99 per month. Charter, make way for more.
This is Andrew Zielsdorf. He plays hockey. This is leukemia. It's bad business. This is Andrew's oncology team. They love Andrew. They don't like leukemia. And thanks to them, Andrew is now cancer-free. Booyah. They are the world-renowned physicians, scientists, and nurses at the American Family Children's Hospital, pioneers in pediatric cancer care. UW Health. Remarkable.
Prior to the Badgers leaving Cincinnati last weekend, Frankie Simonelli was asked about the leadership quality of the senior class and how that might translate to the teams in the future, specifically the 2014-15 season. And I think the young men that are coming back next season have learned a lot from Frankie and those other 8 seniors.
Well, that's the trickle effect that you'd like to have on your team. We have a quote just outside our locker room, which is a quote from a poem from World War I called Flanders Field, and it's one that's in the Montreal Canadian locker room, and it talks about passing down the torch of tradition. And even though the season ends on a losing note, the great things that were passed on was from these seniors, and particularly our formal captains, is how you go about creating a good team atmosphere, how leaders take hold of the team and get everybody to buy in. And when one guy gets together, everybody gets together, and how to deal with conflict, how to deal with when you're tired, to fight through that. So our guys that are returning had a great lesson, had great teachers from our senior class. And, you know, we as coaches go into the locker room and we sell a message about leadership, but we're not with them all the time. Our seniors are with them day in and day out, and they carry the message. And you could tell by the way they played, by the way they conducted themselves, that the message was getting through. So we are very blessed that we had that group of seniors, because the guys that are returning had great teachers in how to go about their business.
Yeah, those seniors left as men, didn't they? I mean, they came in as maybe man cubs, but left as men.
No,
right?
they in 4 years. Well, you know that, Brian. You've been in this business a long time. The growth spurt from a freshman to a senior when you're able to spend all 4 years here is a quantum leap. And we had a group of guys that had great leaps in their growth.
All right. Questions that are difficult to answer at this time of the year. We see it a little bit in college basketball, a lot in college basketball, a little bit in college football, but it happens in college hockey. It's happened to Mike Eaves' program over the last 12 years. Players with eligibility can move on, elect to turn pro, give up their final year or two of eligibility. We don't know what might happen here down the road. Do you prepare as if this could happen, and what if it doesn't? I mean, I suppose
absolutely,
have all
we have
different
to do. I mean,
scenarios.
we're silly if we don't. We kind of play the game worst case scenario. Worst case scenario would if Jake McCabe and Nick Verdelius, those are the 2 young men that you're kind of talking about, they decide to forego the rest of their college career, and that's nothing we can control. And I'll be quite honest with you, in cases where we as a coaching staff think the guys shouldn't go, and they do go. I mean, we're not perfect, you know. Guys go and they're fine. So it's every case is different, and I think that we'll sit down with these young men. They'll sit down with their families. They'll sit down with us, and I think in the long run they have to make a decision based on their heart, the pluses and minuses, and see where they feel, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, this was the largest senior class under you. Now you're going to have the largest freshman class next season, I think, with 9 at least.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that there's some real excitement there.
Yeah.
I think that those guys will come in and they'll have well, just think about this. Think about you just get 9 puppies in a box. Think about all that energy that's there.
Sure.
And my wife says it best, you know, sometimes when you got a bunch of little puppies, what you're doing all the time is putting them back in the box. So they'll be here this summer. They'll get inundated into what our culture and what goes on here, but there'll be great energy. We know that for sure.
Oh, sure. And also, next season, Wisconsin is going to face one heck of a schedule, not only in the Big Ten, but non-conference-wise with Boston University, North Dakota coming to town, other great games on the schedule, both home and road. So you'll have a young team that's going to really be tested.
Well, and that's good for a young team. I think you find out a lot about the kids. They're put in pressure situations. They're going to have to play, Brian. And why not play against some of the best teams in the country and let them figure it out? Because ultimately the game is the best teacher. We prepare them for games with drills, but ultimately the game is the best teacher. So the tough schedule, we're going to take our lumps. We might surprise some people. You never know. Look at what Minnesota did this year. I mean, they were a young team and they had talent, but they came in, they blended together, they had great balance, and now they're on the way to the Frozen Four. So you can't never say never, but you know, the history tells us you're more likely going to take a couple lumps, but we'll have fun with them.
Sure. A lot of great memories this year, weren't there?
Oh, awesome memories. I mean, anytime you win a championship, you know, I think what makes the good times fun and memorable is the fact that we had some bumps in the road. And there were silver linings in those bumps in the road. I think about Bo's team here. I watched them play. What a game that was. It was just a war out there. But the tough stretch they went through, there was a silver lining in that. We had our own silver linings this year that made our good times feel real good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome. That's the Badgers head coach, Mike Eaves. I'm Brian Posick. Join us next season when the Wisconsin Badgers open up in Green Bay against Northern Michigan. We'll have all the games covered on the Badgers Sports Network. I'd like to thank Jay Williams and Ashley Hearn for all their work as well. Mike Eaves, I'm Brian Posick. Thanks for watching the Badger Hockey Digest.